What are we going to do? It's not a joke. I mean it. You see, there are things that sometimes I find very difficult to understand, because some of my best people sometimes suggest to me things that I don't know what to tell them. When we work the way we do, we have told it a million times that you can, if you know what you're doing, it's correct. It's your freedom to do the way you want it to do, and that's what we're actually learning, the most important thing. Then when anybody suggests to correct, that if you go and do correct you, show you how to do it. Well, that's exactly the difference between the teaching we are having and anything else in the world, any other teaching in the world. You see, it's always the teacher who knows best. I consider a teacher can know best from some other people he knows better. But to think that he knows best in the world, and that is the right way to do, the way he does it, is to me a completely untenable premise. You can't, it is idiotic. Doesn't matter. Even if it's Einstein, if it's a genius, doesn't matter, he still doesn't know better than anyone in the world. And probably 10 years after him, it will prove to be that what he said, which is so perfectly correct, that it was completely false. Just like with many other great scientists and great men in the world, it proved to be false in the end. They didn't understand. Therefore, if we want to help to raise a generation of people who can help others and to make a better generation than ours or than the previous ones, better in what sense? So that they can live more comfortably, that's all. And for that, you cannot go on correcting them. There isn't a thing which is correct. Even the most correct thing is incorrect. Oh, if you can, we will do in the course of that, I will show you some of the things that were the most correct things in the world are incorrect. We have been teaching that ever since I know myself, that I didn't like to correct people. And I have a course in Alexandria and I have never corrected anybody there. I never went to anybody and said, this is not correct, do it like that. Because if you undertake that job, you will go on correcting that person for life. You have to go with that person for life. And here the people are second year. If somebody now doesn't do something, it's certainly not by correcting him, by altering him, that it will make any difference. Except that if there are so many people, would need a dozen people going around and correcting everybody. And believe it or not, it's one of the best people that suggested to me that he wants to go and correct, or she wants to go and correct. In principle, that's against the functional integration and awareness of movement. It's against the principle of the foundation of the work, to correct. Now, it is, as we have principles that are no principles are worth having, then of course that principle must be broken too, because there's nothing which is absolutely right. Now, if at the beginning, if you start with people who have never been there, and a large number of people, you can't help it. If you don't do the first few days, give them some sort of idea what is wanted and how they work, you can waste months doing nothing. But this is the second year. There's nobody here who hasn't had at least 3 months training. 3 months daily. Then people like that, if they have to be corrected by hand, it's only if the person is as a real difficulty, like have a deficiency in the nervous system, being paralyzed, having had a stroke, having had some sort of thing like that, then you can assist him a little bit. But it's not a question of telling him this is incorrect, it should be like that. You can help him to do the thing he wants so that he can learn a little better. But touch other people, take them correct, incorrect, is against the grain of that teaching. If I were told like that, somebody going to school would put me in the kind of shape he wants, I would run away the first day. And I advise you to do the same thing. If you feel that somebody is trying to put you in a straitjacket, which he thinks to be right, that's why I don't like many of the practices which in principle do some good. But it is somebody who takes you in his hands and actually by using some sort of power will restructure you. To me, I have undergone it too, but I hate the sight of it, in principle. And now we do functional integration. It's the same thing. And I can tell you that many of the people who do functional integration, some of the best people I trained for years, it's only in the recent few years that a few of them have got the idea of just doing functional integration without correcting the person's posture. They correct it through improving his inner sensation and do that. A few of them. But some still persist. And therefore also they mix other disciplines and do all sorts of things. We will see, we will soon start functional integration. That's why I make this introduction, because it's important. How will we start with such a number of people? How will we do that? Now, many of you have seen it, many have undergone it, but what do we want doing functional integration? What's the difference between functional integration and the best physiotherapist in the world? What's the difference? What's the difference between functional integration and the best role in the world? Ida yourself. What's the difference? Why not do rolfing if it's so much, if it's just as good and maybe better? Or why not do Alexander? It's excellent practice. Why not do yoga? It's excellent. Everything is excellent. Then why do functional integration? Why do that? There must be some sort of difference where the people, knowing or not knowing, actually cling to it. There must be some reason, and the reason is not so obvious. It's not so obvious because some of the practitioners, in spite of being taught and organized and have seen it, that's why I don't let people now to see, but you can't help it, they see it anyway. The functional integration that I do, somehow they look at it and see it and believe that they understood. Now, I, myself, so long as I understood it, my functional integration was very poor. It was better than other people who did it because without knowing, I had already the inner inkling that I was doing wrong, and therefore I could do something better. But it has evolved to a point where, to myself, it is sometimes I can't believe it and can't understand how it happened so nicely and so quickly. And believe it or not, the first time I found myself lacking was this. I had a patient